Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I tried to film this earlier, but it really wasn't the vibe, okay? Um, Not because it was hot or anything, but like, I just couldn't I did not have the right topic in mind. Like, I just kept getting interrupted over and over again. And you know what? When that happens, you just gotta take the hint, bro. It wasn't time for that specific topic. Anyway, hi, my name is Maya. I don't know, I think I'm gonna change the name of this channel, but welcome back if you have been here before, and then welcome if you are new. Please like and subscribe if you desire to, see more of me and help out the channel. Anyways, enough of that. We're gonna talk about a topic that is quite interesting to me and will set up the topic for the next podcast. That's kind of why I had to restart this video, because I had to get that figured out. Anyway, the mind is still developing. The mind is a new tool, and why do we lose control of the mind? Pretty cool, pretty interesting. You're so interested, bro. I believe that the body, right, develops through evolution. Through hundreds and millions of years, we have, adapted our bodies to just survive. We have fear and anxiety. We have lust for reproduction, all of these bodily senses just to be able to exist in this world, right? And then we have the spirit, which to be honest, depending on your ideology or what you believe in, spirit usually is the oldest, right? Like if you believe in God, an eternal being, if you're monotheistic, the one God, or if you're polytheistic, well, even in polytheistic cultures, sometimes they all designate to one God, like in Hinduism, or in the Yoruba culture when they have the Orisha, but they have Oludumare. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it, which is this one God that is so great and vast that he's not able to communicate with an individual directly. Kind of like in Hinduism, where Brahman is kind of like the essence of the world, but he's not something you could exactly directly pray to. Those are what the gods are for, like Kalima or Krishna, or Govinda, whatever Krishna, but a deity or a derivative of God that is separate from this vast introspective being that is incomprehensible to us, right? They are like the barrier or the messenger for us basically to communicate with the divine, if you believe in deities and if you are polytheistic. So the spirit is like ancient, old, sometimes it's assigned depending on what you believe. It could be assigned right at conception, like a spirit or soul could be assigned right at conception. It could be assigned right when the baby's born, just depends. But usually people assume that when a child is born, it's like a new spirit, a new energy, something that is new into the world, right? But the mind, on the other hand, is a tool developed right from the body, right? It's like one of the last things to develop. It's one of the last tools that we've gotten, right? The mind is a tool, right? But it's new. It's like fresh. We lose control of it easily. It's like when man first discovered fire. We just lit up forests, basically. But when we realized, let's put it out, let's put some water on it, let's make sure all the embers and sparks are out. Fire is such a primal thing. The pure essence of it is like our spirit and body. The pure essence of fire is the spirit and body. But the mind came in and was like, hey, but you can kind of light people on fire with this. You can kind of throw this with specific chemicals and it spread on a vast range of things. You can use this to cook food. With the mind, it came later, but it was a tool for reason and logic. That's why I think it turns against us so much. I just want to explain this concept a little bit more. So sort of like philosophy. I had this argument with Logan all the time. Which came first, religion or philosophy? He argued religion, I argued philosophy. Obviously, philosophy had to come second. And you may say, well, philosophy came, like, my reasoning is because spirit, I feel like, was inherent. And so they're like, why does everything work consistently? Why do we have seasons that change but also are rhythmic and always cycling through? Why do we see patterns in everything? What causes these things? What are these synchronicities? What are these messages I feel? What is this intuition I feel? There's something beyond myself. And that's why we have like religion first. Like, why this? Why that? The first answer is, oh, it has to be some cosmic infinite being that's above, that is all powerful in some way, that can play a hand in this weird life we live. And then came, well, okay, but there's more to it, right? Then came the philosophy. It was like, well, if it wasn't God, right? If it's not God, then what is it? Then you dive deep into the whole art of like modern philosophy, which I did like a whole semester on. I did a bunch of videos from just a bunch of the topics that I learned about from there. You can totally go watch those. But you could basically just like fiddle your way through all of these arguments of like, is it God? Is it just the natural order? But like, where does the natural order come from? Why is the natural order there? How did it get there? You know, like, and then we keep asking these questions, and then we have like actually ways to test them, and then comes science, right? So the mind helped us start to question these these religious and spiritual beliefs that came inherent to man. Like, we inherently developed the body, yeah. Our mind came along and was like, okay, but I want to know more than that. Like, there has to be either support for this, or there has to be a contradictory or like something disproving this. We became just more analytical, logical. But it came last. An example, comparison, right? I mean, for example, we have comparison. It's a tool that is inherently negative when I say the word. I say comparison, and then everyone's going to be like, oh, well, I compare myself every day to the model I see on Instagram, to the man I see in the store, of his height, or her eyes, or the way her hair is done. Like, we compare ourselves all the time, and we assume it's always demeaning ourselves, but in reality, we need comparison to make any sort of perfection or improvement. When we want to make something perfect, the only way that we know it's less than what it could be is if we compared it to something that already exists in some way, right? Like, and then we can add some creative or nuance or niche thing onto this, but usually it's based off of ideas that already exist. I'll go into a whole thing about that later. Like, I don't know. I had a whole course about Leibniz and freaking all sorts of different things about dreams. And then I learned about Hinduism and a whole different things, and they have their whole sorts of things about it. It's a whole thing. Comparison makes us look at our bodily limits and makes us want to change them. Our comparison, like usually our mind, right, became a tool truly to try, probably to mend the disconnect between spirit and the body. I mean, think about it. God, like, has this tiny sliver of himself stuffed into a limited being that needs to eat, drink, suffer, cry, and feel all these range of emotions of anger, love, pain, sadness, grief. You're just a piece of the divine stuffed in a cage. And almost the tool of the mind just wants to do everything in its power to try to remove the limits that you initially feel. Comparison is meant for improvement and development. It's a tool from the mind, so one day our body doesn't feel like that cage that we are born in. Comparison wants us to feel beyond the simple innate titles that are applied to our bodies every day. we usually do this by comparing ourselves and then being like, oh, I need this title, I need this medal, I need this or that. So like it looks, compared to other people, it looks like I'm doing better, right? Like you just have a little plaque on your wall, or you have something that gives you certification or some qualification that indicates that I am recognized in this life as important. Like it's like all these things just to indicate that I'm important, right, in this life, because we're trying to prove it to ourselves. We're trying to remove all of these limits that we initially feel. It doesn't have to be just that. You can always compare it to, because then immediately you compare yourself to someone who is in like a worse position than yourself, and they're like, ooh, I'm doing pretty good. So it's not just something that jabs down at you. It completely is a mindset, and that kind of loops back around to the fact that the mind is a newer tool, that it can be used the wrong way, that it can turn against you. Like, because whenever I was angry or upset or like exasperated and just right, and I'm just mad at my brain for feeling that way, and then people are like, you have to, your mind goes on a run and it runs away from you, and it goes and it chases all these like stupid fantasies that aren't even real, and that's why a lot of people have anxiety, because their mind just runs away from us. And I'm like, why do I have to control my mind? It's my mind. Why is it something that I have to hold on a leash that runs away from me? Because it's a tool that is being misused by you, because you are not your mind. That desire to want your brain to be in control is completely separate from your actual mind. You know what I mean? Like, everyone wants to be happy and whole and, safe. That's inherent. Everyone wants that, right? How that reflects in the world is completely based off of a key factor of yourself. But that a big key factor of that self came last in like the millions of years / infinite amount of time that these other two parts of ourselves, like the spirit and the body, took to develop and to craft you, right? Like these two other parts of yourself took millions and probably hundreds and thousands of years to figure itself out, compared to the mind. I mean, the mind was also evolving with the body, but like it definitely is the last to come around in our everyday lives. Like when people say, oh, like children gain their consciousness, like you kind of see their eyes light up in a video, like when they're 5, like they're just realizing that they are a conscious being in this reality. They're like, oh shit. Like if like even that much later, like 5 to 10 years old, like seeing the spirit enter them. Oh, it's so dark now. Sorry if you can't see me. We're in the dark. But anyways, I'm going to head inside, and I will hurry up and edit this video and talk to you guys tomorrow. I have a big day tomorrow. We're going to go to a completely other city so we can celebrate a friend's birthday. So I love you guys. Like, comment, subscribe.